It's great to be back in Texas. Again, Alan, thank you for those kind words. You know, it's often been said that the more things change, the more they stay the same. So I'd like to start today with a quote from 30 years ago. It comes from the 1983 NRA annual meeting. Quote, "It's a nasty truth, but those who seek to inflict harm are not fazed by gun control." Those were the words of NRA life member and then President of the United States, Ronald Reagan. This year marks the 30th anniversary of President Reagan's keynote address at our annual meeting. In that speech, Reagan also said, "You know, good organizations don't just happen. They take root in a body of shared beliefs. They grow from strong leadership with vision, initiative, and determination to reach great goals." He went on to say, "And what you've accomplished, every single one of you in this room, speaks for itself. NRA is getting stronger every day." Friends, we are getting stronger every day. Thanks to you and millions more across America, we're stronger right now than at any time in our 142-year history. But the fact is, we have to be stronger. Because right now, our freedom's under attack like never before. Just look at the past 5 months. We've seen the politicians, the national media, and their billionaire supporters attack us, ridicule us, and blame us for the acts of violent criminals and madmen. They blame us. Think about that. When a deranged criminal murders innocent children, they blame us. They don't care that as NRA members, we've done more than anyone to teach safe and responsible gun ownership. And we've fought harder than anyone to keep guns out of the hands of violent felons and the mentally ill. We've made our country safer and more free by protecting the fundamental right of law-abiding Americans to defend their homes and their families. But they still blame us. That's because where we see tragedy, Barack Obama and Michael Bloomberg, they see opportunity. While we pray for God to comfort those suffering unimaginable pain, they rush to microphones, rush to cameras. They gather in war rooms on Capitol Hill, and they scheme about how to use that suffering to push their political agenda. They follow Rahm Emanuel's advice, never let a crisis go to waste. That's who they are and what they believe, but not us. For those who still don't understand who we are and what we believe, we are the moms and dads and sons and daughters of the National Rifle Association, and we want to prevent Newtown, not take advantage of it. But that's what our opponents do. They use tragedy to restrict freedom, and it's up to us to stop them. We are freedom's greatest hope, its biggest army, and its brightest future. We will not stand idly by while politicians, billionaires, or the media try to destroy the rights that American heroes have died defending. So, Mr. President, do you really want to keep America safer? Senator Feinstein, do you really want to protect our kids? Senator Schumer, do you really want to keep guns out of the wrong hands? Then prove it. Prove it by prosecuting violent criminals, prove it by getting serious about school security, and prove it by fixing our mental health system that everyone knows is broken. And while you do that, do one more thing. Leave our freedom alone. You know, as dishonest as our opponents are, don't forget they're also ignorant. And while ignorance is sometimes bliss, it also has another name: Joe Biden. Biden's the ringleader of Obama's gun control task force, and let's just say he has some interesting ideas on self-defense. Take a look.
Buy a shotgun. Buy a shotgun.
Joe Biden on self-defense for women.
If you want to protect yourself, get a double-barrel shotgun. As I told my wife, I said, Jill, if there's ever a problem, just walk out on the balcony here or walk out, put that double-barrel shotgun and fire 2 blasts outside the house.
More than 300,000 women face aggravated assault every year. And Joe Biden's answer?
Fire 2 blasts outside the house.
Great advice, Joe. Not only would that be illegal, but a woman would then face an attacker with an empty shotgun. For tips on safe and responsible gun ownership, ask the NRA, not Joe Biden.
You know, that ad needed a different disclaimer. It should have said, the opinions of the Vice President are idiotic, dangerous, and should not be attempted at home or anywhere else. But our Vice President of self-defense is not alone. There's Senator Dianne Feinstein. Just listen to why she thinks our guns should be banned.
Time has come, America, to step up and ban these weapons. The other very important part of this bill is to ban large-capacity ammunition feeding devices, those that hold over 10 rounds. We have federal regulations and state laws that prohibit hunting ducks with more than 3 rounds, and yet it's legal to hunt humans with 15-round, 30-round, even 150-round magazines.
Hold on a minute. It's legal to hunt humans? Not even in Texas. We've heard a lot of unintelligent garbage coming from politicians, and Feinstein might just win the prize for that one, or maybe not. Because over in the House of Representatives, she has some competition. Take a look.
In February, you introduced the Assault Weapons Ban and Law Enforcement Protection Act of 2007. It would regulate semi-automatic assault weapons, including weapons that have pistol grips, a forward grip, and something called a barrel shroud. Weapons with a barrel shroud would be regulated. What's a barrel shroud, and why should we regulate it?
I think the more important thing is that it also would have had banned the large capacity clips that Colin Ferguson had used, and also the killer.
Okay. But I read the legislation, and it said that it would regulate barrel shrouds. What's a barrel shroud, and why should we regulate that?
The guns that were chosen back in those days were basically the guns that most gangs and criminals were using to kill our police officers. I'm not saying it was the best bill, but that was the best bill they could get out at that particular time. I actually don't know what a barrel shroud is. I believe it's a shoulder thing that goes up.
No, it's not.
To your last question, what's the efficacy of banning these magazine clips? I will tell you, these are ammunition. They're bullets. So the people who have those now, they're going to shoot them. And so if you ban them in the future, the number of these high-capacity magazines is going to decrease dramatically over time because the bullets will have been shot and there won't be any more available.
So Carolyn McCarthy doesn't need to know what a barrel shroud is, and Diana DeGette doesn't know what a magazine is, but they both know for damn sure that you shouldn't have them. These two would make a great skit on Saturday Night Live, but it's pathetic coming from members of Congress. And on that subject, let's not forget President Obama. He's not so much ignorant as he is dishonest. The President of the United States told a room full of rich campaign donors in San Francisco last month that the gun used at Sandy Hook Elementary School was, and I quote, a fully automatic weapon. A fully automatic weapon. That wasn't an innocent mistake. That was a deliberate deception. President Obama, you know semi-automatic firearms are not fully automatic. You know the statement that 40% of gun sales are conducted without a background check is false. Even your beloved Washington Post called you out on that one. And you know background checks, universal background checks, would not have prevented Newtown. Let's focus on that just for a minute. The centerpiece of President Obama's response to Newtown would not have prevented Newtown. And it wouldn't make a lick of difference in his hometown either. You really think that murderers and drug dealers and rapists and others in Chicago or anywhere else are going to go to Walmart for a federal background check when they want to buy a gun? Of course not. So all this proposal would have done is criminalize transfers of honest citizens. It would have said that if you don't get Eric Holder's permission first, you go to jail. In other words, you're guilty until they prove you innocent. That was his idea of a reasonable compromise to prevent Newtown. So a couple of weeks ago, the U.S. Senate debated expanded background checks and the rest of the Obama-Bloomberg gun control agenda. Obama said he used every tool at his disposal to force his proposals through Congress, while Bloomberg spent tens of millions on TV ads to pressure senators. They spent millions on bogus polling across the country, claiming an overwhelming majority of Americans supported their gun control schemes. And they predicted victory before the votes were even cast. But you know what they didn't count on? They didn't count on you. They underestimated you. They didn't think you would stand and fight, but you did. You made the phone calls, you sent the letters, you sent the emails, you let your senators know. You let your senators know that your freedom is not negotiable, and it worked. Republicans and Democrats alike rejected Chuck Schumer's universal background checks, rejected Dianne Feinstein's gun ban, and rejected Frank Lautenberg's magazine ban, and it's all thanks to you, so give yourselves a hand, please. But friends, make no mistake, this was just one battle in a very long war. As Alan said, Margaret Thatcher pointed out that no political victories are ever final. So we can't afford to stop fighting because we know our opponents won't. President Obama is still crisscrossing the country in Air Force One from Colorado to New Jersey, trying to convince the American people that his gun control proposals are reasonable. So we need to fight back with the truth and explain that his ideas are not reasonable and they make people less safe. Here's an example: limiting magazine capacity. That's a major part of their agenda. You've all heard it: 10 rounds, 5 rounds, some have even proposed a 3-round limit. But is it reasonable to tell a mother what she can use and can't use to defend her children? Earlier this year, a young Georgia mother was at home when a violent criminal broke into her basement. Fearing for her life, she grabbed her .38 and ran upstairs. She hid in a closet with her kids, but he found them. And when he attacked, she shot him 5 times in the face and neck. But in spite of his wounds, he was able to walk down the stairs, get in his car, and drive away. Imagine the fear that mother must have felt. And then imagine if there had been 2 attackers. 1 bullet in the gun of a criminal is 1 too many, but 10 in the gun of a mother protecting her kids might not be enough. That's why we should never make policies that make it more difficult for honest people to defend themselves against attackers. Sadly, that's exactly what happened to Amanda Collins. While a college student, she was brutally raped on her campus. Amanda had a legal permit to carry a handgun, but her school banned her from carrying it on campus. While Amanda escaped with her life, it would never be the same. And another young woman, abducted near the same school, wouldn't be so lucky. Breanna Dennison went missing in the middle of the night just a few months after Amanda was attacked. After a frantic 4-week search, authorities finally found her body, crudely dumped underneath a discarded Christmas tree. She had been kidnapped, raped, and strangled to death by the same bastard that had raped Amanda. What if that policy banning self-defense hadn't been in place? What if Amanda had shot that rapist dead before he attacked her? Amanda's life would have been changed for the better, and Brianna's life would have been saved. Folks, no matter what President Obama says, it's not reasonable to limit the ability of innocent people to defend themselves. It's wrong because it's immoral. Make no mistake, we are in a culture war. Where we once faced hundreds of voices against us, there are now thousands attacking us every day. From Organizing for America to Code Pink to Occupy the NRA, Wall Street, and for that matter, occupy anything but a job. And who's their ringleader? The very smug, very rich mayor of New York City, Michael Bloomberg. Please watch this.
And we have an obligation to tell each other and to try to convince people that if they are going with the NRA, they're going against the lives of our children and of you and me.
That's what Michael Bloomberg thinks of us. He also knows what's best for us. Just ask him. He wants to dictate everything, from the food we eat to the sodas we drink to the guns we own. And he'll use his multi-billion-dollar bank account and his global media empire to impose his will on us. And his strategy is shameless. After the tragedy in Aurora, Colorado, it was reported that Bloomberg and his gun team created a media and lobbying plan that they intended, and I quote, to deploy following the next massacre. And unfortunately, last December, they got their opportunity. While we work to prevent Newtown and the next massacre, Mayor Bloomberg works to take advantage of it. You know, the 5 million honest, hardworking men and women of the National Rifle Association, we might not have billions of dollars, but we have a common decency that his money can't buy. So, Mr. Mayor, go spend your money on another yacht, another plane, or another Caribbean estate, because our freedom is not for sale. But this is the threat we face. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. A never-ending battle against a president who rallies his supporters against us, against an anti-gun billionaire who spares no expense to defeat us, and against a national news media that expresses its contempt for us at every opportunity. But you know what? Despite all of that, I wouldn't bet against us. Because 4 months ago, every so-called political expert in America predicted the NRA would be defeated by now and that the Second Amendment would be gone. But they didn't count on you. They underestimated the strength of your convictions and your dedication to defending freedom, no matter how strong the enemy or how big the fight. The truth is, the only reason we aren't living under Dianne Feinstein's gun ban right now, the only reason we aren't registering our guns with Obama's bureaucrats, the only reason our freedom exists is the National Rifle Association of America, and the National Rifle Association is you. And our future depends on young NRA members. Young NRA members like Maddie Warren. Maddie, stand up. There she is. Maddie's a high school student from down the road in New Braunfels. She recently invited 24 kids and their parents out to her family's ranch. None of them had ever been around firearms before. But with the help of some NRA instructors, Maddie introduced them to the wonderful world of shooting. She said she was filled with joy watching their faces light up when they shot a gun for the first time. Afterwards, many told him the experience had changed their position on the Second Amendment. Matty even signed up a few new NRA members that day, including 2 life members. It's Matty and countless others like her who are the future of our freedom, and I believe our futures never look brighter. Matty, thank you again for being here today. Ladies and gentlemen, if you look around this room, you'll see what the grassroots army of freedom looks like. That army is each one of you here today, and millions more of us across America. We are the only thing standing between Barack Obama and Michael Bloomberg and our Second Amendment freedoms. Friends, I began this morning with a quote from President Reagan, and that's how I'd like to finish. In that great speech to NRA members, this is how he concluded. America is no stronger than its people, and that means you and me. Well, I believe in you, and I believe that if we work together, then one day we will say, we fought the good fight, we finished the race, we kept the faith. And to our children and our children's children, we can say that we did all that could be done in the brief time that was given us here on earth. President Reagan's words were as true today as they were in 1983. It's an honor for me to serve as your executive director of the NRA Institute for Legislative Action. While the nature of this fight changes, our principles won't. We will never apologize for who we are and what we believe. We will never be intimidated by a president. We will never be shamed by a national news media, and we will never be scared of a billionaire. But I promise you, we will stand and we will fight. Thank you. God bless you. God bless the National Rifle Association.